Hot off the press, Google may not serve up your ad without a relevant landing page. Let's talk about the implications for all marketers in this episode of Closing Time. Thanks for tuning into Closing Time, the show for go-to-market leaders. I'm Val Riley, head of marketing for Unbounce, Insightly, and LeadsRx. Today, I'm talking to Tas Bober. She is founder of the Scroll Lab. Tas, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited because you know about landing pages and I know about landing pages.
I can't believe we haven't had you on the show yet, but I will say this news from Google is blowing my mind. So if you would just set the stage for our discussion with the information that Google put out recently about landing pages.
Yeah, so February 5th, and we'll link to the article, I'm sure, so everyone can read it in depth. But the TLDR of it is Google basically listened to a lot of feedback from users who were saying they hated the disconnect between an ad and a search query, and then they end up on this landing page that has nothing to do with the ad or what they asked for. So Google essentially created this like predictive model that can go to these landing pages, determine if they have ad relevancy, and an interesting take for all landing page people out there is that it actually now requires us to have a navigation element on these landing pages. And I know many people are panicking because they're like, what are we going to do now with with this navigational element, which we can talk about in a second. But essentially, if your ads don't have a matching relevant landing page, Google will most likely not even show your ad, even if you're willing to pay. So that's the big takeaway here.
Okay, so this is really groundbreaking because as marketers, we've been told for so long we need to have campaign-specific relevant landing pages. But do you mean to tell me there are still people that are sending their Google ads to like a random homepage? Because I'm going to have a heart attack if you tell me that that's the case.
Yes, actually, and this is an old article too, but the number that's been circulating around has been 44% of B2B ad clicks just dump people on the homepage. And I post a lot of content about landing pages on LinkedIn, and they're more maybe like 201 or 301 level, but every once in a while I will go back and say, here's the difference between a homepage and a landing page. Here's why you need to send your paid campaigns over to a dedicated landing page. So we sometimes have to get back to basics because there's so many people who just don't even understand that there's a value in having a separate isolated landing page experience that's relevant to their campaigns and their ads.
I don't know if it's hurting my heart more or my brain more as a marketer to hear that. But so it looks like there's a lot of opportunity here for people to really level up their landing page game by either simply having landing pages or having super campaign specific landing pages that speak to their ads. But I'm going to shift into the navigation discussion because I have always been taught that you want your landing page to be this like place that is hyper-focused on conversion and therefore does not have navigation because we don't want to pull people away from this path to conversion that we have set. But the Google decision is saying that perhaps navigation will be rewarded. So please talk me off that cliff.
Yeah, it was a hard one for me as well. When I first started posting about landing pages, I would always propose the standard format where if we close our eyes and picture a standard template, we have, form up top, a few things of text, no navigation, a little bit more, and then like download now or whatever the CTA is. But I've since shifted my perception based on tests that I've seen, especially in the B2B buying environment. It's obviously a little bit different than B2C, but people are obviously panicking because now they're like, well, I'm going to distract them with this navigation. So I'm just going to put my site navigation on there, right? So we're going to take this bad advice. We're going to take this requirement and then turn it into bad advice, which is let's put a navigation on there. Let's check this box and put it back. But my recommendation is actually to meet in the middle, which is one, your landing pages shouldn't always be super short form. And I'm talking more about like product overview landing pages, comparison landing pages, things of that nature where people are actually shopping for a solution to a specific problem, right? And instead of having just the general site navigation, they should have an anchored navigation. And I've done this even before the Google announcement and saw wild results from it. And we can talk about some of the signals that I look at as well. But we put an anchored navigation, which is basically ability for people to click on one part of the navigation and then it just jumps to the appropriate place down on the page itself. So if you have an anchored navigation that's like the problem, the use cases, the testimonials, FAQs, and then finally the CTA, you can have all of those in the navigation. And so if they want to just go quickly to the FAQs or quickly to the proof points, they can just jump right within the page. And then in the footer, I would suggest a minimal footer that could actually take them to other pages where this is where people will do like, go to the About Us page and the whatever. But I always say you should link to other landing pages within your landing page ecosystem in the footer. And that way it's kind of your own private little sandbox environment where you are seeing how people are consuming information, but you can control a lot of the asks and the changes on there because it's still part of this like landing page experiment.
I love that. I did come up at the time where it was like a no for your landing pages to even scroll. And I have seen, like you're saying, there are certain types of content where a scroll makes sense. But I love the idea of how you're using the navigation to help people consume the page that is a little bit longer and assist them to getting to what they really want. And that part about linking to other landing pages, I love that too, because especially for a B2B organization like ours, we are often using like a pool of budget to go to all of our landing pages. So having people convert potentially on other landing pages still kind of gives us the ROI on that paid media spend that really makes sense for us.
Yes, exactly. And so when I tell people about how to look at landing pages and looking at the signals, sometimes the conversion isn't going to happen on that page. Actually, most times the conversion isn't going to happen on that page because if you look at high conversion rates, when I ask a company that comes to me and they're like, yeah, our conversion rates, they're really high on this page, it's 3 point something. I mean, if in the grand scheme of things, if you look at a 3%, that's not a lot. So there's 93 or 97%, sorry, I can't math, I'm a marketer. There's 97% that aren't converting. So you're going to sit here and tell me that that's a good conversion rate and you're trying to optimize for conversions. It's like 97% is not ready. They need more information. They probably need a lot more touch points. I always use this statistic, which is hockey stack, in this report that talked about how many touches do you need before an MQL? And they said 31 on average for low ACV product. And we think that people are going to convert on the first time like they land on a page, which is insanity, right? When we put it in context like that. I don't even buy pants on the first visit, okay? Old Navy's pants will sit in my cart for like 60 days before I make a decision. And then when I realize, oh yeah, I need new pants because this has a hole in it, then it becomes an urgent thing, right? So that's similar to B2B companies who aren't going to make a snap decision on a $100,000, $20,000, even a $5,000 purchase and go through that whole procurement process when, they don't have to, essentially.
I'm going to give a quick plug for the Unbounce Conversion Benchmark Report. If you're curious to see how your landing pages in your industry compare to the conversion rates of other vendors, you should check out that report, and we'll link it in the show notes. But let's continue on. We talk a lot about conversion rate optimization, and you say that maybe some marketers maybe are optimizing on the wrong thing.
Yeah. And so that's where I'll give you an example, which I love using this example. Snagit was one of the first landing pages, one of the first companies that I worked with for landing pages. And we had a product overview page. We were targeting technical writers. We're looking at, it was built on Unbounce, not even a plug. It actually was built on Unbounce and it's still live today. So the Snagit product overview page, opened it up. We ran 2,000 sessions later. 15% of the clicks, so 165 or something like that. Again, can't math. 165% of the clicks won the fourth FAQ of the landing page. 106. So I'm looking at this, I'm like, there must be something wrong with this data, right? No, the fourth FAQ had this very interesting question, which was Snagit was asking users to start a free trial, and their application you download on the computer. So it's not cloud-based, right? But the purchase was $60, but it was a lifetime license. Okay? Well, they're thinking, how many devices? I change devices every couple of years. Can I transfer my license? So we saw that people were actually curious about that because they're like, I don't mind buying this, but then am I going to have to buy it again when I change my computer? So we moved that up, made it its own block, and we talked about this objection. We're like, no, you do not, whatever. 265% increase in purchases, not even the free trial. They were like, yeah, I'm good. You don't need to sell me on it anymore. Like, I'll pay the $60. So that's something that conversion data could never give you. Only heat map data, only session recordings, only looking at these signals of consumption. How are people consuming the information? My prospective buyers, am I giving it to them correctly? Am I giving it to them in the priority that they care about? And this is one of those examples where we had an anchored nav, and we saw like 35% of the clicks went from them clicking on the FAQs, jumping all the way down, and then 165 of those clicks won that fourth FAQ. Consumption signals. And I think B2C can also do this, but they probably already do. But with B2B, we don't yet. But this is where it was a huge aha moment for me. Because it was a long landing page too. And I'd already bought into the long landing page. People were consuming it. I think the average is, and this is unbounced data, the average number of people who get to the bottom of a page is only 30%. So some things that I look and optimize for is, am I getting 40% of people going down there? 50% over time? What's the density of ICP on this page? Am I saying the right people, and how far down are they consuming stuff? Are they more interested in the fourth value prop, or are they most interested in the fifth FAQ that we now need to make its own block? Collecting some of that qualitative feedback and making some decisions there, and then testing those variations out.
Yeah, I love the idea of letting B2B marketers know that optimizing for consumption is fine, and then conversion.
Yes.
Whereas for B2C, you probably want to move in quicker for the conversion. But in B2B, it's okay to sit back and let them consume and learn from what they're consuming.
I mean, B2C understands the multiple touch points very well. You call it the Amazon effect. That's how we stole that from them with retargeting ads, right? You shop for these shoes on Amazon, suddenly you're seeing the shoes everywhere, and you're like, oh my gosh, okay, I bought the shoes, chill out, Amazon, right? And we do that, but our retargeting is all, it's the same ads that we went to collect them, the same ads we run in retargeting, and you know what I mean? So that relevancy piece is always missing, and B2C even understands that it's going to take multiple touch points. They're like, okay, people are more informed now. They're going to look up reviews of this product elsewhere. They're going to look at all of these things, and they understand it better than we understand it. We treat it the same way. We think that it's going to be, someone's going to convert immediately the first time, when B2C is like, I know that they're not. It's at least going to take 2 or 3 touch points. I want them to come back and think about it. How many times have you gone shopping, Val, and you're like, I don't need these pair of shoes. You know what? I'm just going to go home. If I can't stop thinking about it for a couple of days, I'll come back and get it. Right? We do it all the time.
Yeah, that's a great strategy. You have to realize if you really, really want it.
Exactly. If it's an urgent enough problem and an urgent enough desire, then we'll come back for it. But like B2B products don't have that kind of appeal outside of like, okay, this would make my team's life a lot easier. Or, oh my gosh, my CMS is down. I wish I had a backup option. Okay, hi. Unbounce, you can get set up really quick, Just saying.
Let me finish on this note, because I've loved our conversation, by the way. One thing as a marketer, I know I personally have done, and I think maybe you'll let me off the hook a little bit, is hyper fixating on like the button color, the button text, the, how important it is to say, get my demo or book my demo or schedule me now. I know as marketers, sometimes we'll just hyper focus on variance for that type of stuff.
Yeah, I get that question a lot. What are the best types of CTAs that you've seen? And I'm like, it's super simple, okay? Say what you mean and what's actually going to happen next. If I hit this button that says talk to an expert, am I going to talk to an expert? If I hit this and I get a free trial, am I going to get a free trial? Right? If I hit this submit button, does it submit? And then I get a report? Like what happens? And so something I always tell them is the CTA matters much less than the block that it's sitting in. Because the block that it's sitting in, especially a CTA block, it should have kind of this outline of, here are the next 2 or 3 things that you can expect to happen if you do give us that information. So I always try to explain it like this to people, which is the only leverage a user or a buyer has online is their information. And they may know in the back of their mind, especially, unbounds who's selling to marketers. Marketers know in the back of my mind, my information's out there. It's probably being sold left, right, just all day long. But it's still my only point of leverage. And we immediately ask them for that piece of leverage before we give them anything of value in return. So something that helps disarm them a little bit is saying, look, if you submit this form, we will contact you within 24 hours. We're going to have a 30-minute discovery call with one of the experts on our team. Third point, then we'll set up a customized demo for you based on your specific use cases. It'll be 60 minutes with a solutions engineer, okay? They know when they're going to be contacted. They know you respected them enough to tell them exactly what's going to happen. And then they're like, okay, fine. And don't do the dark pattern thing where you're like opting them into nurtures and, you're going to be like, oh, unleash the SDRs. It's like, like bloodhounds, like they're coming out of nowhere. So it's just, I think it's that where they always are on the defensive. And so we're just kind of disarming them and telling them like a friend, like, I respect you. I see you. And then the button doesn't matter as much as you providing them the value and the reassurance that they need in order to make that engagement, right? So
I love that. Being clear about the expectations and what happens next, right? Like that just builds trust.
Yes, exactly.
Tas, I feel like I could talk to you for another hour, but that's the end of our time together. Thank you so much for joining us. Where can folks find you if they want to learn more about your expertise?
Find me on LinkedIn. I call myself the LinkedIn mullet. So I'm business in the front. So all my posts are usually more on the educational side. And then the comments, a lot more the party side where I have a lot of fun. So come there, come for the insights, stay for the fun. Please send me a message if you listened to this and liked it. I want to talk about anything related to landing pages, just to nerd out. No sales pitch. And I'm happy to do that anytime. I'm on the platform way too much.
Awesome. And thanks to everyone for joining us on this episode of Closing Time. Remember, if you want it delivered right to your inbox, just click the link in the show notes and we'll send it right your way. And have a great week. We'll see you next time.